if I want to compare Santiago with myself. So I went into the fashion and then amalgamated fashion and street. So it's a street fashion.
How do you think you balance this together, like the creative world and something as real?
When it comes to capture a photo and tell a story in that single image, that's where the photojournalism comes into action.
Welcome to Tales and Talks. I'm your host, Alia Sheikh. In today's episode, we will be speaking about fiction, fantasy, and photojournalism with our guest, Mr. Prabhanjana, who is a photojournalism student. Welcome to this podcast,
Hello.
sir.
Hello.
So, can you please tell us more about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Prabhanjana, so I'm basically from Bangalore. For me, photojournalism or photography in general was started around 2016 when I was just passed out when I was in 10th. So when it gets started, I was just numb of what I wanted to do or what I wanted to pursue. Then later, I had some digital photographs. So that got really inspired me of certain things. So there are so many aspects in photography which actually inspired me. Then later, I thought of get on shooting with mobile phones, digital cameras and stuff. And somehow I just fell in love with the art of telling stories. So even before that, I used to write stories to make short films. So it was a craze around 2014, 2015. So there was a huge gush of Kannada films, for example, like Lucy or U-Turn, so which indeed inspired me to start to tell a story. And then later on, yeah, it somehow started, and now I'm doing photography, photojournalism.
Okay. So, you read a lot of books, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, what kind of books do you read?
So generally it's all about fiction and fantasy, and also bit of realistic fantasy. When it comes to that, so it is very near to the, it's not altered reality. So it's basically that. So it tells about the real people and real situations of people, of the author, of the character which inspired them to write a book. So something like that, yeah.
Okay.
So that glued me into the reading process.
So, you told us you read fiction,
Yeah.
and you read fantasy, right? And photography or photojournalism is more related to like real life.
Correct.
So, how do you think you balance this together, like the creative
Okay.
world and
So
something
bridging
is real?
it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the same thing. So recently I did a shoot with the ITBT ministry. So it's a photojournalism project. So when it comes to that, so it helps me to be unbiased in any situation. So it put me in the different perspective of people. So when a writer write a book of a character, so it speaks about 2 to 3 point of view where a character dwells into that situation or performs in that situation. So in that in that point of view, as a photographer, it helps me to be unbiased in any situations when it comes to story. For example, if for example a street photography, if you tell about a street, so there are people who generally be like a poor naked. So they tell about poor people, so they try to elaborate it. So you shouldn't be so biased in such a way that people get influenced to what you shoot as a subject. So it should be on a line where people has to think for themselves, okay, what is right or what is wrong. So you have to create that question mark in a viewer's mind, and then it is left to the viewer. So it's not like I'm putting into someone's mind that, okay, if there is some beggar eating something on a road, picking up something, eating, so it shouldn't be like, it shouldn't be a single straight line of a story. So it should question him. So is there any type of development, like a social problem, or is it a social problem, or it should make an impact in the society. So it should question the people. So that's how. So that's what goes into reading books, and which helps me a lot.
So, like you do read all these fictions, so is it easier for you to make a narrative out of an image or a series of image?
So I have started as a single image. So one is single image. So it's always easy to put a story on a photo essay. Like you create a couple of or 10 to 15 images and tell a story. That is also different. And when it comes to capture a photo and tell a story in that single image, that's where the photojournalism comes into action. So you don't have the flexibility to show 10 images to the viewer and tell about, okay, there are something like this in the society, so we have to do that, or we have to do a change in that. So it helps when you do the photo essay. So you start implementing that what you have learnt in the photo essay and put it in a single photograph. And there are also photo essay competitions where people look up to the social what is it? So recently I have done a documentary on Paura Karmikas. It's a street sweepers.
Okay.
So it's actually a photo essay. So it's a documentation of it's a documentation of work where I tell a story about a Paura Karmikas in a series of images. So from the initial, like how their day starts and how the process is and how it ends. So it depends. So it's your style. It's a personal style, like where you take the story. Maybe you can create a controversy through that.
The next thing is, you told you're interested in Alchemist, right?
Correct.
You read it late, you said.
Yeah.
But then, what do you think about the journey of Santiago, and how does it connect to your journey as a photographer?
So yeah. So the character in The Alchemist, Santiago, and to compare it with myself, it's kind of pretty similar. So I started as an engineer. I wanted to do mechanical engineering, and then I kind of dropped out from it. And then later I started this journey. So in between also there were stages where I was also into the music. So the one thing was clear, I wanted to be in the art field, the telling stories and stuff. But later I somehow got into photography. It was when I started, it was around 2016. So that's when I started photography, and it was very late. So somehow I started, and then I learned very much. So it was kind of a self-taught initially. Then later I had no options. I did my diploma there, and then bachelor's, and yeah. So that's how it was. Mainly the perseverance. So there are so many classmates in the diploma. So there were around 8 people. No one are doing photography now. So I'm the only one who sustained there, and I did my bachelor's, and now I'm kind of doing full time now.
Oh, okay.
Mainly perseverance and purpose of life.
So, the other thing is, there are so many pivotal moments in Alchemist.
Yes.
And like, there is something like Santiago had a purpose.
Correct.
Right? So, do you think there are pivotal moments in your life that leads you to your treasure?
Yes, there are so many struggles in a way, where for example in Alchemist, he lost everything, and then he did something. Like he went to the merchant, like a jewel merchant,
Yeah.
and then he started the journey again to reach the pyramids,
Yeah.
to get the treasure. So in the same way, even I don't say that I was apart from the journey what I was pursuing, but I learned many different genres in photography only. So for example, I was into street and documentary, then later I pursued my bachelor's in product and fashion. So fashion was very completely different thing, because I'm kind of an introvert, to put it across, and then managing with models, makeup artist, and it's a huge task for me. But I came, apart from photojournalism or street and documentary, then later I tried to do something in fashion. So that is the turning point where the Santiago, and if I want to compare Santiago with myself, so I went into the fashion, and then amalgamated fashion and street. So it's a street fashion. So even though I do any fashion, it will be on the streets, not in the studio setup. It's like 30% of it, but everything is in the street.
So you told about street style and how you like to connect it with mythology, history, fantasy, everything.
Okay.
So how do you think these two can be balanced? Like street style is something very different.
Correct.
And mythology is not even connected.
Correct.
So how do you think you can make it creative?
Yeah. So book has a great potential for you to imagine things. So when you're reading the book, you come across very different characters, situations, and also atmosphere where you feel, where you think, where you set up, and then later we just put that idea or style into the photography. So when it comes to street, we generally do that. So we'll have an inspiration. So when we are reading any book, any fantasy book, like, you can take best example for Harry Potter. There are so many frames and locations or camera angles, lighting, and also colors. So color grading. So that inspires a lot. So when it comes to street documentary or street fashion, anything sort of.
So the other thing is, like, you told, like, there is a connection, like you can connect to it, right? So do you think that you would be able to capture a story like that, or do you want to capture a story which is from a mythology or a fantasy?
Okay, which I want to
Capture.
Want to capture. One is, there is a book called Karvalo, which is a Kannada novel by Purnachandra Tejasvi. So it's a novel about a creature which is in the district of Shivamogga, Malenad region. It's also a pursuit of finding that parasite, or it's a bird, I guess. So they go in search of that bird. So that is one thing which kind of inspires me to take that inspiration and maybe capture as a photograph or something like that. The process of storytelling is also very interesting in that. So there are so many beautiful moments where the protagonist go in search of the honey and stuff. It's actually really good. When you imagine things, it's a real treasure actually for you.
That was a really insightful talk today. Thank you for coming. And it was a pleasure to have you on this couch today.
So yeah, so actually, even it's my pleasure to be on this platform where we can kind of amalgamate the books, fiction, novels, and mythology with the photojournalism, the field where I have done something stuff. It's actually really good, and thanks to you guys having me here.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Well, I've learned more about photography, fiction, photojournalism, and fantasy, and how all these worlds are connected together. And with this, we would like to conclude our second episode.